radio for the masses.
Headline edition, July 8, 1947. The Army Air Forces has announced that a flying disc has been found and is now in the possession of the Army.
If the game is rigged, change the game. Game changer.
I occasionally think how quickly our differences worldwide would vanish if we were facing an alien threat from outside this world.
This is Fade to Black with your host, Jimmy Church, on the Game Changer Radio Network.
All right. Good evening. How you doing? Fade to Black. That's right. Today is Wednesday, April 23rd, 2025. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Let's do this, man. Now, it says here in my teleprompter, Happy Earth Day. That was yesterday. How did that get in there? I have no idea. Somebody's going to have to clean out their desk. This week on Fade to Black, Monday night, we have Peter Benson with us talking about higher frequencies. Last night, Ray Hernandez was here, the Beyond UFO study. Tonight, Captain Ron Janix is with us. And we're going to be talking about CITD, Contact in the Desert 2025, and also the current status of our UFO community and our UFO world. Tomorrow night, the return of Jason Martell, fresh off the road from Ancient Aliens Lives, taking a little break before they head back out. And he's going to visit with us tomorrow night. And I mentioned this yesterday on the show. When I first started Fade to Black, and I'm not even sure when that was, but I'm pretty sure the first week of shows, Jason Martell was one of those guests. I remember we had Stanton Friedman, Jason Martell, Steve Murillo, and I think Wolf McCarran. I think that was the first week. If my memory, which there's no guarantee there, but Jason Martell's back with us tomorrow night. So stay tuned for that, kids. I do have 4 major events coming up. That's right. Four. Contact Modalities Expo. That is next week, May 2nd, 3rd, and 4th in Delavan, Wisconsin, at Delavan Lake, at the Delavan Resort. It's all about Delavan, isn't it? That's next weekend. Links for that are below. And I come back from that here to LA to do some other stuff and then head out to Contact in the Desert. That is May 29th through June 2nd, right here in Palm Springs, California. Links for Contact in the Desert are below. After that, I head south to Peru with Brian Forrester for the Inca Celebration of the Sun, and that is June 17th through the 27th, 2025. This tour is sold out, but I'm going back for a second tour this year in November. So the links for that second tour for everything are at Hidden Inca Tours, and those are below. Change your life. Come to Peru with Brian and I. It's absolutely amazing. And then right after that, I get back to the States and I go to the East Coast for the Psi Games, the Psychic Olympics. That's right. I'm a game show host, as it should be, right? August 1st through the 3rd, 2025 in Charlottesville, Virginia. All right. The Psychic Games. First conference of its kind. Yeah, it's going to be amazing. So I'll see everybody out there. Again, links for that are below. And let's just get straight to it. I'm very excited about the show tonight. Captain Ron Janix is with us. And I could do a long introduction for Captain Ron. We have been friends for a very, very long time. Great, amazing career and life. But he is now, I'm going to say, he's the chief bottle washer of Contact in the Desert. That's right. That's what he does today. And huge, not only important position in the conference world, but for our community. All right. And that's what he does today. But he's also a radio host. And I actually met Ron. I met him before, but one of the first times that Ron and I got to hang out was I was a guest on his show. And now he does radio. He's got a very cool podcast. You see him popping up all the time in those reels and everything else. But he has spent his life reading, researching, visiting conferences. He has done hundreds of interviews, and he knows what's going on. He began podcasting back in 2014. And in April 2021, he co-founded the Observation Deck, one of the coolest things I've ever been a part of, by the way, and virtual events. That's right. It was amazing. I had a virtual Jimmy Church. Kind of looked like me too as well. And you know what? I'm going to bring Ron straight in because he's been on all the shows. Ron, my good friend, how you doing, my brother? Do you
Chief Bottle Washer is a little bit higher and better than I thought you were going to say. So I'll take that.
I was going to go with something more creative, but I pulled back, Ron.
Yeah,
I pulled back.
I expected more vulgarity in that.
Yeah. I pulled back. I pulled back. I remember when you took me to the virtual island and on a tour, and you took me through the administrative buildings and this and that, and it was so cool. And then you go, now check out the pictures on the wall. And I'm looking around, and it was me and Fade to Black, and well, others too as well. But the way
Dolan,
it was such a great endeavor. And for a minute there, man, we had a lot of fun. There was this giant. I'm going to describe this to everybody, then we're going to move on because it was so cool. There was
during
a giant.
COVID, so you set the stage. That's the reason.
Right. And it was it was an island for our community, and you registered. You got a virtual version of yourself. You could walk around. You could talk to people. You could wave. You could dance. You could and design your own character and do all of this.
Some people looked like them, like Dolan and Danny Sheehan looked like Dolan.
It looked like
you would recognize them.
It was so great. And the auditorium was, you had to go in and take a seat. So those were individual, all there, and I would walk out on that stage and everybody would wave and man, it was the coolest thing.
It was so fun. We were trying to recreate like a Contact in the Desert type event virtually during during COVID. That was the idea.
And we did conferences, man. We did our thing, and it was man. I mean,
how funny it is? Every now and then something will come up, or I'll meet somebody and they were like one of those people that were hanging out with us, but we didn't know them,
Yeah. You remember
cool.
the different dances, man? That was that was so much fun. But you were always, still are, but you were always thinking of creative ways to keep the community involved, and you've always been that way, haven't you?
Well, yeah, I love it. I mean, I've been in love with Contact in the Desert since I first went there in 2014 or 15 or whatever it was. I just think it's such a great thing. It really is not an overstatement to say it's, it's a community. It really, really is.
Yeah. And the original part of Contact, where which actually goes back, to the 1950s and 1960s, and
George Van stuff. Yeah.
George Van Tassel.
Van Tassel. Yeah.
Van Tassel and Giant Rock and all of that. And of course, this is a continuation of that. But the feeling that I got when because I've been involved with the conference since the beginning, as you know, and there was a vibe that I always got when I arrived there. And you got that same vibe. It was just so much fun. How do you preserve that and continue that legacy?
We have nothing to do with that vibe, Jimmy. We talk about it all the time. It's incredible how it is a real, genuine thing. You know me, I'm not a woo-woo person at all. I'm very try to look at these things objectively, scientifically, that sort of thing. And yet there is this genuine energy among this. And our philosophy, this is our third year now, since we've taken leadership of this conference, and we feel like, we want to set the tone or whatever, but we don't really force feed anything. We let the speakers pick whatever they want. We just want it to be new. we don't want to have too heavy of a hand in it. We sort of let it happen organically itself, and it really does. Answer me this: isn't it true that each contact you go to has kind of its own feel? Remember that one year was kind of this way, and then this one was kind of,
Every year has got its own little thing.
It just happens. Yeah, we love that.
The other part, and now I mean, you've really got your feet wet. Coming up with the crowd, the community expects certain names. Okay, there's an expectation there. But then there's the other challenge of bringing in new ideas and fresh minds. And that's not an easy task, is it?
It's not. It's also honestly one of the very, very hardest things. Of course, just like everything in life, when you fall into this position, even if you really wanted it and this was your path or whatever, like it is feel for me, it's not what you expect it to be. The hardest thing is not putting on the same show every year. There are so many great speakers that we could bring in this year that we had to say, well, no, not this year, because we don't want to repeat ourselves. We want to kind of keep it fresh and keep mixing it up, and we'll bring them right back in. It's not that we don't think they're a good speaker. Nothing against them. They're fantastic. We just want to mix it up a little bit. Got to keep it fresh every year. And maybe somebody else has got a new book coming out and they got a new project or something like telepathy tapes falls on the world out of nowhere. Well, we got to have that. We want to kind of stay at the forefront of these things. So that's how we look at it.
Now, I'm very excited. Let's start with some of your speakers this year, because you've got Josh Gates, and Josh Gates is not only a big name, as a speaker, but he resonates with people. He's got a personality that he's just a genuine, likable guy that manages to run over and bump over some pretty amazing shit. I don't know how he pulls it off, man. I really don't. And then you combine all of that into a really well-produced show, and he has expanded way beyond our community into a global sensation, hasn't he?
You just nailed it. That's the key. I think, Gordon and I both feel we want to push this out to other people in the world. It's one thing to preach to the choir. We all know that. We all know how we feel about this topic. But we feel like part of our duty in this is to expand that community and show other people that there's something to this. Josh Gates felt like a really good bridge, because he's not like deep in this community. He's not a diehard believer in certain things, but I'll tell you what, he is open to these things, and he goes out there in the real world. You and I sit here on our ass talking about this stuff. He's out there digging in holes, jumping out of planes, and really doing it.
I've done his show.
Yeah, I know that. Yeah, absolutely. You were on that with the mountain.
Yeah. They don't. Yeah. They spare no expense. The man, that is a real production, my man.
Yeah,
that is a real production. And he, I remember the first time I had him on Fade to Black, and I call him up, and he goes, "Man, Church, I love your show, man." I go, "Josh, don't bullshit me, man. No, man. You're doing it." I was like, "All right, well, what?" "No, I am a fan. I remember it." And I'm just thinking, this guy has got it together. He's, like you said, he's out there traveling the world and discovering things and presenting it in such a way that people learn. But he is paying attention to other researchers, and those researchers, because of his, I want your comment on this, because he is so cool. Most researchers, as you know, they don't share. No, it's not that kind of party. Josh has people bringing him stuff.
Yeah, he somehow has kind of broken that barrier, hasn't he?
Yeah, he has.
And he has this great personality, and Discovery Channel behind him, I'm sure, helps. And I love that show's out there doing what it does, because you know what? People like my mother watch that show.
Yeah,
which is great. Let's expose people to these things. I think it's great.
Yeah, absolutely. What's he going to be talking about this year?
He's not going to talk specifically about aliens. He's going to talk about different things that we're hopefully going to get some behind the scenes stuff and different things that they've uncovered over the years. He's going to be sending in those details here shortly, so we're looking forward to it. It's going to be a great presentation.
Did you hear about that discovery they made in Petra?
Yes, he did a whole show on it. It's incredible.
Did a whole show, and that's what I'm talking about. How does Josh Gates now look? And I like Josh.
Yeah.
All right, but I'm going to tell you, I was a little peanut butter and jelly when I read the press release on that one, man. And I'm like, holy crap, what? You know, and you read through it, and when they made the discovery, they kept it under wraps and then called Josh. They didn't announce it. Yeah. And I was like, fantastic. Man, yeah, how cool is that?
I could see him doing this thing they just found under the pyramids. Now they're talking, there's possibly this whole thing with pillars and the city underneath there, for God's sakes. It's incredible.
Now, I didn't want to go sideways into that. What do you think of that? What do you think is going on
with the pyramid?
Yeah.
I don't know. We don't have enough evidence yet. Obviously, there's something there. Obviously, that's showing that, but it's far from definitive. I'll say that.
Well, okay. Don't be political. Don't be some politician.
No, that's how I feel. I'm not a guy. I'm the guy that gets mad when people shoot these videos and they're like, "Oh, look, a UFO." Well, no. How about what is that? What could that be?
Right.
Start there, right. And then when we've eliminated the other 90 things it could be, we say, "Hey, maybe that was a UFO."
Well, I don't like to start there. And that's what they didn't do with Giza.
Right.
Okay. They jumped the gun, you know, and I know some of the people involved with this, and I don't know if I want to do a show on it. I need to stay objective. I don't know enough about the technology. That's the thing. You know, what can really be seen.
Well, let it play out a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
let's get a little more data. And then we can go, oh, you know what? It's looking this way. Now let's bring Robert Schock on. Let's bring some of these guys, see what they think of, you know, how does that all line up?
Well, I would think, all right, now this is me being just a bit of a dick, Ron.
Nothing I'm not used to, Jimmy. Go right ahead.
Yeah. Nothing is that if we have technology on this planet to see below ground a couple of kilometers that they are suggesting here, then why is it so hard to find oil or gold or caves or other shit? That's my point.
I bet you think that there's also technology probably beyond what we get to see, right? Don't you think that?
But that's the easy out. That's the conspiracy out. I get that. I totally do. And I appreciate that. But I'm not so sure. I don't know enough about the technology, but to deduce out of the images and everything that, you know, pillars and subterranean chambers and you know how many I you know, when you're talking about a kilometer, that's
why I don't want to rush to judgment for this, because I don't know what those shadows mean and what those lights mean. I mean, that could be, you know, you're speaking of these technologies, and we were just talking about Josh Gates, and it reminded me, do you know the first time I saw Lidar was on the Josh Gates show? And how cool is that technology that you can fly over this thing and see these structures that we never could have?
Now, okay, so I get that. You know why?
It's above ground.
You're above ground scanning through leaves.
Yeah.
That's a bit different than rock. And
dirt. It's not 20 feet down. It's 2 kilometers or something nonsense. Right?
Yeah.
That's hard to imagine.
Yeah. So scanning through a jungle canopy, and which is very cool. It's very cool technology. But and they've done some LiDAR scans of the desert out there. They've different geologists have flown over. I forget her name, escapes me, but she's brilliant, and she's, you know, done some scans out there and saw some things that are interesting, but they're scanning, you know, 5, 6, 7 feet the top layer of sand.
Yeah, that's like a metal detector, you know.
Yeah,
like,
yeah,
no big
right,
deal.
right,
Yeah.
right. So it's just jumping to when you look at some of these illustrations and some of the animations that have been done. You've seen them too, the models that people have built. I'm like, how are you?
Yeah, it's a big leap, isn't it?
What do you see that I'm not seeing here?
Yeah.
But you know what? And that's another part of not specifically Giza, but as somebody that's running a very important conference, how do you weed out some of the dickery? Because because there's a lot of that, and I'm constantly fighting it, and you've been hosting radio for a long time and interviewing guests, and you have to have squinty eyes and discernment, turned on all the time. How do you do that with Contact in the Desert?
Very much so. Well, we kind of pick the lineup and the theme of the show and everything as a community. We talk with Gordon and Bree, and all of us get together and we come up with these different things. And when you first hear things, for example, I don't want to keep bringing this up, but someone brought up the telepathy tapes, and I'm like, okay, telepathy. Wait, that's the bridge. No, not interested. Then you go a step further, and it's like, well, wait a minute. This is a woman from John Hopkins. This is a woman from Harvard. Oh, wait, we're talking about science now. Well, this is right in our lane. This is what we want to do. So then we embraced it, and we're thrilled with that. So all of those things, I think we want to make sure we're coming from each of these events, to me, kind of have a different lane. They kind of look at different areas of the community. I think we have always been, Contact in the Desert has always been sort of scientific, academic leaning. And I think the last few years, we've been even leaning into that harder, and we want to keep moving in that direction. So we look at things from that way. So even though people present things that are very interesting and are very curious, we want to hold our judgment till we know more. Like that pyramid thing might be a little premature for us yet. Maybe next year, when we get a little more data, then we feel like, okay, this is strong enough. I feel like the Diane Powell stuff is strong enough that we can absolutely present that. When things are ready for primetime TV, then they're ready for us. That's how we look at that.
Yeah, I wonder how surprised they were about the success of the telepathy tapes, because man,
they have to be blown out of their mind. I mean, it knocked Joe Rogan out after like 38 weeks in a row. I mean, come on, who saw this coming?
Nobody.
Right.
Nobody. Have you listened to it?
I have, and I've seen many interviews by her, and obviously I've gotten to talk to her, which is a real pleasure. And they're both, Kai is fantastic. The director is fantastic. Diane is an amazing woman. Steve Bassett's the one that brought her to us, as a matter of fact. And it's absolutely fascinating to me. I love these kind of things that are on the forefront. Jimmy, I think you and I have discussed this before when we were talking about the observation deck. Caroline Corey did an event on there. We were talking with the kids that are blindfolded and can read and see. So it's kind of a similar experience. That stuff's fascinating as well.
Yeah, it is fascinating. I have those what do you call them? Blindfolds. Yeah, there's a brand name there too as well.
You can't see anything. Period.
No, you can't. No.
It's like being underground, where you can truly not have any light. If you've ever gone to a cave down below, where it's truly like you can't even tell your hand is here. It's crazy.
You know what I did with one of those masks? Are you ready? I'll say it. I don't give a shit.
Oh, please.
DMT.
That a boy
with the mask.
Well done. Did you met with our buddy?
Woo! Yep.
Nice. Awesome. Yeah, of course. That's fantastic.
Man, that's a game changer.
That is a game changer. Good for you, man.
Yeah.
I literally thought you were going to say eat food, because they have that restaurant here in LA where you eat in the dark. No, thank you.
No.
I need to see what's going in my mouth.
So 100%. I saw a video, then we'll get back to the guests, but it's Ron. Everybody, you're just seeing Ron and I, two friends.
This is what you do, man. It's a casual show, right?
Sit and talk. So I see an experiment. Okay, based on this, your body, your brain protects you. And one of the things that it does is it knows when you are looking at bad food that's going to make you sick. Okay. All right. So they did this experiment. 2 steak dinners cooked at the same time, identical. Okay.
Yep.
But so they bring in the steak dinner, they put it down, person eats it, everything's fine. Bring in the second steak dinner, but they light it with a certain frequency of light focused on the plate, turns the steak blue. Yeah.
Wow.
Right. And what do they do? 1 bite. Blah!
I love that. See, that's like
Yeah.
a parapsychology almost. I think that
100%.
is fantastic.
And it worked like 100 out of 100 times they did
Wow.
this test. Yeah.
Wow.
Everybody got sick.
God.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was absolutely nuts.
I love that stuff.
Yeah. Back to the blindfolding part with the telepathy tapes. I listened when it first took off, and everybody in our community was talking about it. And I didn't get a chance, but I finally, after a few days, I was out of town. I got back in and I listened back. This is right when it first came out. And wow, right? So I listened to the whole season, the whole first season, and I got to the end of it and I listened a second time, like a week later, and I busted through it. And then I went and watched the videos. Now, I'm not going to get into any of that, but they have videos of those sessions too as well. You can go and watch those. And the concepts that were laid out there, I was thinking to myself, the world needs to know about this.
100%.
Well, you know what? The world wanted to find out because that was the success. The success of those tapes weren't people from our community. It was like the Josh Gates barometer.
Right. But have you ever seen this on CNN or the news or anything in the mainstream
Very
world
strange.
Like that?
That was the other thing. It got huge very quickly. The media didn't pick up on it, and then it kind of went away. Not as fast as it bursted on the scene, but it did kind of run its course quicker than I thought.
I would like to see it really expand. We're going to do live in-person demonstration of this on stage. And then Diane and them are going to talk about what we were seeing. So I think that this will be hopefully moving more and more eyeballs to this because I think it's truly something. And people like Whitley Strieber are all about this. They're all on top of this. They think this is really, really tapping into something. You know, Jimmy, there's these stories of like a kid in the UK a few years back where he was a blind child. He was like 10 years old, and he went to the eye doctor with his mother because she had to go. And he read the eye chart just because she was sitting there. And so it's like, how is that possible? Was he seeing it in her brain or was he
through her eyes?
Through her eyes? Yeah.
Yeah.
So, I mean, but there's something here, and I love that we're putting some science.
Well,
behind
we've always known that. We've always known that.
Yes, I know. Let's get some more attention to it. Put some resources.
How many times do we have to interview or speak with somebody that has had a psychic or telepathic connection, a download, right? A near-death experience, some kind of entanglement has occurred, not only in the ET sense, but in the rest of the remote viewing is the exact, it's something that this community has always talked about, and it was, what was weird, Ron, is, okay, so how did you talk to the aliens? Well, we did it telepathically. Oh, there we go. Telepathic, right? It was always getting shunned when that word was brought up.
Right.
Yeah, that's the part that the telepathy tapes has to help the world overcome that obstacle.
Exactly. That this kind of thing is real. Absolutely. And SRI and the remote viewing is another great thing that, obviously people in this community know about. Most people don't even know what that is, though. I often come across people, if I say a term like remote viewing, they don't even know what that is. They're like, what are you talking about?
Now, you've got Ross Coulthart.
Yes,
Now,
he's bringing these things to the forefront and doing exactly what you're talking about. There you go. He brought psionics right to mainstream news nation. That was fantastic.
and I had Ross on the show last week, and I've interviewed him a few times over the years, and great guy. What I'm most impressed with about Ross is he's got his criminal investigative journalism background. He's won a lot of awards, right? Gone up, into politics and gone into mafia and crazy and broke some amazing stories. And he's taken that pit bull investigative way of doing his thing and brought it to the UFO community and the UFO subject. Very impressive, don't you think?
We're thrilled to have him. He reminds me a lot of George Knapp. These guys are true, real journalists, investigative journalists in the truest sense of the word, in my view. And it's great to have these kind of people, taking a look at these subjects and showing the legitimacy of them and bringing them to a wider audience, more importantly.
And how do you? What's your take about Coulthart and how he was able to appear to crack some of the curtains and the veils in Washington, D.C. and the Department of Defense that have been so difficult to break through over the years? And Ross seems to do it. I shouldn't say easily, but he knows what to do to get to these people.
Well, I assume that's just from his background, but how do you mean he's cracked it? Because how has he cracked it? What do you mean?
Well, I asked him that last week. I did. I said, "How do you're from Australia.
Right.
How do you come to Washington, D.C. and start
Yeah.
kicking down doors?"
Right.
And I don't want to speak for Ross, but his answer was something like, "Well, man, I've been dealing with the mafia my whole life."
Right.
And I don't give up. And my comment was, "Man, I never want you on my trail." You're going to find out all the mud, but he has that ability. It's very impressive to see how he's able to get to politicians and the military side of this subject. It's crazy that he can do that.
We've not seen this ever before. I mean, even the work Danny's done with getting to some of these politicians, I don't recall any of this ever happening before. So I think that part is fantastic.
Yeah. Which is my point. How does he do it?
I know.
Yeah, I just man alive. And his book is so good too, as well. What other surprises do you have?
Well, we've got some surprises we're not going to reveal, but we're going to do that awesome thing again where Mark D'Antonio takes a bus out into the desert, and these guys look at the night sky with Ben Hansen, and they literally go, behind the mountain, so it's dark out in the desert, and they do the sky watches, and they point out what the International Space Station looks like and what Venus looks like and what's to watch for and that kind of thing. That's a lot of fun. People love that. People last year were ranting and raving about how great that was. So we've made that even better this year. So that's going to be great. Another thing we're doing, Jimmy, is we're going to have 5 world premiere movies about the subject of UFOs, which are fantastic. And I can't wait, to release these because there's a lot of good information in them. And even the 10-year doc of Contact in the Desert will be displayed on Friday night.
Am I in it?
You are, as a matter of fact.
Am I really?
Don't you recall talking to Jeff Stein up there? That's what that was for. What do you think that was?
You know what? I was just excited to hang out with Jeff Stein. Are you kidding me?
Of course. He's got more good stories than you do, buddy.
And it's that. Oh, man. And it was so funny. when I find out, and I get a text, from Jeff. Jeff Stein is texting me. I mean, does it get bigger than that? Not really. And you look at his anyway, his pedigree and what he's done and movies and documentaries that have changed my life as a kid and a young musician and everything else. And man, what a cool dude.
I say there's nobody cooler than that guy. Am I right?
My goodness, man. My goodness. And I posted we do the interview, and I'll post a picture of Jeff and I on set. And the reaction from the music community, my friends, outside of, the UFO community, holy shit, church. Oh my God. I was like, yeah, man. Yeah, that actually happened. Yeah.
What better guy to do this than him, right?
Yeah. And
Perfect
he really knows the subject.
He does. He knows the subject. He also knows filmmaking, and he also knows storytelling, and he also knows how to craft these things. So he's the perfect guy. We're really looking forward to that. We're going to, world premiere that on Friday night. It's going to be a lot of fun because a lot of the people there might appear in this video as well.
Wait a minute. Okay, wait. Okay. What do you mean Friday? Okay. I want to see it, but I'm hosting Friday night, right?
Yeah, this is earlier. You could watch the movie and then head right on over for your thing. Absolutely.
Okay. So I can watch the film and then
head over for the speaker meet and greet party Friday night in Crystal Ballroom. It's going to be unbelievable.
Okay. And where's the movie theater?
The same place.
In the Crystal Ballroom.
Yep.
So I never have to.
You don't even have to move, Jimmy.
I don't have to leave. I don't have to leave. And there's a bar in there too, right?
Again, you don't have to move. This is
I don't have
perfect.
to move.
This is the dream scenario for you. You sit, you watch a movie, the bar is right there, and then you get to go up and do the hosting of the meet and greet party.
So the bartender that's in there, who I've known for a long time, right? Same guy, man. It's just like weird, years and years. And so
is this the guy that threw you out last year, or
yeah, same guy.
Right.
And so I'm there. I walk in, and he goes, Jimmy. I go, hey, man. I make you your favorite martini. I was like, man, I'm going on stage, and he's already right. Yeah. I was like, oh man, and so cool. And it's right there, man. It's next to the stage. That's all I need. But okay, so 5 world premiere movies that will be in the Crystal Ballroom. Are you going to run those back to back? Or are you going to do them on separate
No.
days?
Each night we have a different movie, and most of them are in the inspiration. Just our premiere is going to be in that room. The other ones are an inspiration. But each night there's a different world premiere movie. And then another thing we're doing is we're expanding. This community, you don't get your news on TV. You don't get where do you get this? If you don't get it from Jimmy Church or from George Norrie, you get it from podcasters, right?
Yeah, right.
So we're really expanding that. We're bringing in guys like Jesse Michaels and Last Podcast on the Left and Chris Ramsey. And we're going to do 11 different podcasts live at Contact in the Desert. So they're going to happen while we're there. You can see them record the show. You can see them interact with the guest. It's going to be great.
Yeah. I remember doing that, and so do you, at Contact, where I would, and nobody else was doing it, and so I would do Fade to Black live.
Yep. I remember.
And, yeah,
crammed in that room. Yeah,
man, it was packed, man. It was packed, and people really, 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 really enjoyed it. It was funny. You know what, Ron? I'm going to throw you under the bus. So Ron calls me up a couple of months ago, and he goes, Church, man, I got an idea. He goes, you got to do Fade to Black live, right? I go, no, man, I'm taking a break. I'm not, no, I'm going to come out there and have fun. I don't want to come out there and work. But I loved that part of it was.
And then I said, that's okay. I'll get 11 better ones. And then
yeah,
you
did. But I just loved doing that. And everybody was just so into it. It was a lot of fun. But for me, there was a lot of I here in my own studio, and you've been here. Ron's been to my house. this is relaxed. Right?
Sure.
I do this every night.
It's
But-
man. It was different back then too.
Back then-
it wasn't even set up for that. We're going to do it totally different. It's going to be very
Right.
chill. It's going to
No,
be.
that's what I was
obscure.
saying. For
Yeah.
me, it was a day of just technical setup.
Stress.
And by the time I got around to doing the show, I was a basket case. And
This is going to be way more casual, way more just for fun, way more for fans of those different shows to get to interact with these guys and participate in it, that kind of thing. I mean, Fade to Black is a different animal, and it was different back then. We didn't really do things like that, so you sort of set the stage for it. And now I think this will be a nice little addition for people to get to do this, because it's another element of this community that I think ties us all together. Are these shows?
Yeah, 100%. 100%. And what day is that going to go on?
That's every day, all the time. They're on the schedule just like speakers are. It's like there's a podcast going on in here. There's only 10 different things you can do at any given time at Contact.
Yeah, I know. That's the best
the other
part.
problem for the attendees, man. What do you do now?
I can crash somebody's podcast.
As long as it's not mine, you can absolutely do anything you want. Absolutely. And I imagine you would do that. Yes, absolutely.
Yeah, I will.
Yeah.
The wheels are turning.
Oh,
Are you going to broadcast from there?
I am.
What day?
My business, Jimmy. I'm not telling you, because then you're going to come in there
do I have to
and you're going to say, I'm just going to talk for a minute. And I barely said hello to the audience. And then it's like the clock's ticking. I only get 40 minutes of show, and I'm going to have 60 seconds left. So I'm going to go, okay, well, that was it. So do you know
grand
that
opening, grand closing?
Right. Need to know with Ross and Bryce, they're going to do that live.
Oh, I wonder how that's doing. They're still doing it, I take it.
Oh yeah, it's doing great.
Yeah.
Those guys are doing, and they're getting a lot of new good stuff out to the people too. I think that's another great source.
Yeah, for
Ross
sure.
is on top of this, man.
Yeah. I don't spend as much time on social media as people think. In fact, I spend very little.
I've heard you say that on here, that that's not you. You don't do it, and I don't either. It's just too much, man. And I agree.
I have, I hate to. I don't want to discourage people from commenting on stuff on our social media channels or whatever, because they feel that I don't read it or I'm not going to reply or whatever. I use it as a community space.
Right.
And go. But I don't first off, I don't have the time. I just have to say I don't have the time.
Right.
But the second thing is there are, not everybody, most people behave, but there are people that get their energy from trying to distract and get you off message. And I just don't dig that.
I don't dig that either, man. That's not my
I don't
thing.
feed the
I'm
kitty.
too old, man. No, that doesn't interest me at all. I don't even get that. I do like when people are proactive and positive or bring new information to the table. That is awesome. And as you mentioned, that was a big part of the observation deck and of Contact in the Desert. Attendees come with their evidence and their stories and their insights, and that's a huge part of this.
It is a huge part of it. I don't, and I was speaking to somebody this week about this. It's really funny. If somebody says to me, well, man, what do you think about blah, blah, blah? What do you mean? Well, I just read, I read, and then there was a comment and then the reaction. And so I don't know, man. What do you mean? Dude, I know.
And people are on top of this, like to the minute. And that's where I lose too. I'm terrible. Like if I talk to one of these legacy guys or Whitley Strieber, I've read everything that guy wrote. I've read his papers. I've watched his stuff. I can talk to him. But these guys, you do one of these shows with these young kids doing these podcasts, and they've got 7 stories from yesterday Did you see yesterday morning in Buenos Aires? There's this sighting. What? No, I didn't see that. What are you talking about? I don't know how.
Well, okay, so
on top of it, man.
you bring up a great point. All right, so it's not that I don't pay attention to the news. I do. I've got a producer here, Renee, that's been with me for 10 years. Okay, 10 years. That's a long time. And she knows what to feed me on the news. So, and I get that, daily list from her with links, and she does a really good job. And I'm able to just go through and do my job of getting updated on what's important out there and so forth. So, it's not that I don't pay attention. I don't want to give that impression, but there's the second part to this. There was a video circulated over the last week of a meteor that was about to crash into a city in Mexico and was diverted and didn't crash because a UFO came in and turned it. All right. Now, that was the video that went viral. I didn't see the video go viral. But you know what I did get? 2 different emails from 2 different researchers and analysts that broke down the video and sent it to me, and I'm able to analyze it and look at the video and look at their answers for it. And as it turns out, that video, which you were talking about this earlier, right? The dickery, right?
Yeah.
That video, the meteor was the same in each frame. Okay. It was just somebody moving it across and superimposed the UFO. Now, if I would have seen it online, I don't know if I would have caught that. But there are lots of very brilliant people in this community. And when a video like that pops up, they will, look, Mark D'Antonio.
Perfect. Up and down.
Up and down. Right. And so I'm looking at this, and then I happened to be on social media and I saw some comments about it, people talking about it. And then somebody's listening to me right now that sent me a private message through back channel. Church, how come you haven't commented about the Mexican city that was saved from the video? Well, that's why I don't. I don't.
think that's why I don't like to jump too fast into these things. Let it breathe a little bit. And if it pans out, yes, I'll be all over it, and that's awesome. But the initial reaction, the knee-jerk reaction, I think we all need to be a little bit more have some discretion when we're looking at these things and give it a minute to breathe, because wait a second, you know what I mean? Because oftentimes that is the case. And now that AI's proliferation is exploding, it's just going to get harder and harder to tell. And that's going to just slow me down even more, because it's like, well, wait a minute. I sent something interesting to Jamie this morning. She immediately sent it back to me. She goes, oh, that's AI. I've seen it.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
Wait. One of my moderators, Jessica, just popped this up. She said we have a discount code. You guys gave us a discount code? Is this right?
It was go fuck yourself, Jimmy 10. Oh no, did we change it? No, I'm sorry. We've changed it. It's Jimmy 10. It's going to go live tomorrow. It's going to be Jimmy 10. I apologize.
Jimmy.
We were playing with some different names, but it ended up we went with
Jimmy 10. You guys cleaned it up. We cleaned it up for the masses, Jimmy. Okay, so starting tomorrow, you can use Jimmy 10, everybody, and I'm assuming it's all caps, just like you're looking at it right there.
That's
10%
it.
discount. Thank you for that, man. I really appreciate it. And Jessica, thank you for. How did Jessica find that out before I did?
I bet that Jamie is on it and in the chat room and sending that around.
Is that what's going on?
I have 2 angels that are on top of everything, Jimmy, and I couldn't do anything without them. I'll tell you that right now.
Tell me about it. I thank my stars every day. I thank the universe. I do. Thank you for my friends. Thank you for the team. Thank you for that. I know that there are people out there that think that this is a one-man show. Couldn't be farther from the truth. I mean, if I didn't have the support team, it's social media, it's the website, it's the merchant side of things. Of course, it's news, it's animation, it's production, the amount of, and the travel stuff and producers, the amount of support. There's just no way. All the
No doubt
artwork
about it.
and
And don't
everything.
you feel, certainly now as I'm getting older, I have a much more, I recognize it more and I appreciate it more. I really, really do. Contact is, we have a small core. There's less than 10 of us working on this thing. And it is so much more work than anybody realizes. I can't even tell you. I mean, we've got people working all day and night on this stuff. And it's because they care about it and they love it. And I'm so blessed to have them in my life and to be part of this. It just makes me that much more excited about Contact and excited about these topics. And I think we're doing real things here. I don't think we're just spinning our wheels, or I wouldn't be doing it.
What else? Other special stuff before we hit the break.
Well, the George and George again, we're going to do open lines live.
Okay.
How great to have these two legendary gentlemen on stage, George and George, doing open lines live. I'm very, very excited about that. And having Avi Loeb, he's the only one that can't be there in person, so we are piping him in, but he's going to give a lecture this year. Avi is about as prominent in this field as we have, right? I mean, top guy at Harvard. I mean, what's better than that?
And just a very, 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 very nice guy.
He
Very
really
nice
is.
guy.
A lot of these guys are. You get to know Ross Coulthart. Could he be more of a gentleman? He's like he's so polite and so nice, and it's just such an honor to get to be around these guys.
Well, okay, but see, with Ross and even with Avi, the nice guy thing, that's an act. It's
with
an
Ross?
act. Yeah.
Oh, bullshit.
No, what I'm saying is that dude is relentless. Do you really want to be on the investigative, pissed off side of Ross Coulthart?
Oh, I see what you're saying. Yeah, but I think he's a
to
genuinely nice person, is what I mean.
It's a good act. Yeah. That's a good act, man. Because if you're with somebody that he's checking into, you can't. There's no off switch there. I could not imagine that. And it's the same thing with Avi.
Oh yeah, I wouldn't want to be on the wrong side of either one of those gentlemen.
No. It's the same thing with Avi. Avi's a really nice guy. I invited him out to dinner. Okay, and we go out, and we had a pretty. I put together a pretty amazing group. I think it was myself. It was Jacques Vallée. I'm trying to think who else. Maybe Danny Sheehan was there. Myself. 5 or 6 of us. You know what he did? This is Avi.
Tell me.
He gets everybody's names from me, and he signs books, personal autograph, and then shows up at dinner and surprises everybody at their table with their own personalized book of extraterrestrial. Who does that?
How
who
classy,
does that?
how cool.
Total class act. Total class act.
It's great. I'm so happy to have these guys in our community, part of our family. It's wonderful. It's wonderful. And there's more of them. Anthony Peake is that way. Thomas Jane is that way. These guys are awesome. And we have the classics back. Linda Moulton Howe just got added. So that's wonderful. We're going to have her back, and Richard Dolan, of course. And he's got his new book on the USOs that he's put so much work and research into. It's really important work.
Yeah, for sure. For sure. You just mentioned, let's back up. You said Linda, you said Richard, you said another name.
Anthony Peake, Thomas Jane.
Yeah, Thomas Jane. I've known Thomas since, I've known Thomas since, I'm gonna take a guess at this and say 2005. Like right in there. Him and I have talked about this, trying to nail down. I remember I said, okay, but you had this car in your driveway. And he goes, yeah, I only had that for a few months. You're right. So it was this period of, we were just trying to nail it down, this period of time. I've known him for a long time, and haven't talked about this publicly, and I'm not going to, but I had talked
But
to
I
him
brought it
back-
up and wasted everybody's time for the last 10
No,
minutes
the
talking
reason-
about this,
but
to build it up,
there's-
to give you
there's-
no conclusion
Yeah,
or
no,
payoff on that.
But there's
setup.
okay. I'm give you a taste of it.
All right.
I had told him back in 2005. I said, I'm going to start a radio show about UFOs, and he goes, "This is Thomas James. It's 2005. UFOs, just like that, And later on, I don't know if it was a couple days later or whatever." But he comes back up to me and he just looks and he goes, "UFOs." I go, "Yeah, man. Yeah. And I'm going to get you on the show." No. And what happened? You can never predict the future.
Isn't that
right?
amazing?
Yeah.
That's great. I like that story now. And him.
But you like it now? And there's more to it too. I'll tell you off of the air and you're really going to laugh.
Yeah, he's actually, I really like him. He's a very nice guy, and he's
So cool.
really well versed in the material, and I like that. I appreciate that. That's what I notice in people. Do you know the material, or are you just, you saw one thing on TV or a sci-fi movie? What's your level of knowledge in this? Thomas Jane really knows this material. He's very well versed. He talks about,
just like everybody, you know what happened? Well, you do, because you hang out with him, like I do. He had an experience.
Yeah.
And that's all you have to do to have that paradigm shift and in life, where suddenly you can immerse yourself into not only something new, but something that is concerns you. And it's a personal reason that will drive you. And that's exactly what happened to Thomas.
That's most oftentimes the case. Most of these
is.
people are in that they had an experience. There are those of us like me and Dr. Stephen Finley, who Dr. Stephen Finley has a great quote where he says, "For those who've had an experience or those who believe the data." I love that. And that's my category. I haven't had an experience, but I'll tell you what, I find a lot of this extremely compelling, and I want to help be part of it, and I want to drive more scientific resource to investigating what's going on here, because there is something happening.
That's always been my philosophy too. And I've seen and experienced too much woo. All right. And I love the woo. I do, man. Oh, I love the woo.
Yeah, that's where we
But
diverge right there. But yeah.
No, I love the woo, but I need the science to support the woo.
And you know what's interesting is if you read some of the mainstream science guys right now, mainstream science, even old stuff by Planck and whatever, it sounds as crazy as anything else. You know what I mean? Anthony Peake was a good guy to talk to. That guy's got all this stuff about physics and as a physicist, and it's unbelievable. And yet it's like, that's what mainstream science thinks today. You know what I mean?
Because I mean, there's a certain amount of woo that even for me is a little much, but I've experienced enough to know that if I don't even talk about some of the stuff that I've seen and experienced, because it's just it's too out there. But I've experienced,
you don't even know where to put it, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
And so when somebody comes at me with something that just sounds way out, well, who am I to say? Because, man, I've seen some crazy shit.
And listen, I agree 100% with that. And I don't mean to denounce any of these things. I just say, for me, it's harder to put it into the show or put it on contact, because it could be true. It's just that the more fringy, deeper stuff is harder. So that's not our lane. You know, we want to try to get to the truth here. And these one-off cases are harder. It's more compelling to me when we've got 12 people that say it looked like an alien gray and it was at the edge of my bed, and they have the same story. Well, now, wait a minute. Why would 12 people say the same thing? Mm-hmm. That really rises my eyebrow. That doesn't mean the guy that had the one-off crazy thing didn't happen. It could have. But it's a bigger leap, and it's harder, and it's more of an individual thing, where when you start getting this repeated data of like an alien gray visitation, man, these guys that have done the hypnosis, You know, they've got all this data. Bud Hopkins and who's our other buddy?
David Jacobs.
David Jacobs. I love that guy.
John Mack.
All the stuff that these guys have compiled from all over the world, that is compelling on its face. And I get angry when people don't recognize the data or the strength of all that data.
One of we're going to take a break here, but the stuff that I talk about publicly usually are things that I've experienced with a group of people, right? Where I've got witnesses that can back up my bullshit. The stuff that I have experienced by myself, you've been to my house, okay?
I've toilet papered it in the middle of the night.
You have toilet paper in my house, but you've been here, and so it's not that it's too big, but I live here alone, so therefore there isn't anybody else, and I hear and see
if
shit.
I didn't make a noise, who did?
Who did?
Right.
And
right.
No,
I get
yeah, and so, but it's an experience that I'm experiencing alone. So it's just a story. I don't have any, it's just a story. That's all it is. It's a story. And so when, if I'm going to, which I don't like to, if I'm going to tell about a UFO sighting that I've had by myself, no.
Yeah.
It's what's the supporting data in a lot of cases is the other eyewitnesses that were there. And I think that is just as important as anything else.
That makes it all the more compelling. That's why Travis Walton's case is so great. Not only does he
100%.
have a great story,
Yep.
He's got 5 other guys saying that's exactly what happened. So that gets even better for me. I love that story.
Yeah. You're, and Rendlesham is
of course. Rendlesham is right up there with Roswell as far as I'm concerned.
Yep. And it's a modern case too, as well.
Yes.
All right, Ron, stay right there. Let's take a break. When we come back, we're going to continue the conversation with Ron. We are talking about Contact in the Desert 2025, that and much more. And I'm also going to get Ron's take on disclosure in our community when we come back. This is Faded Black. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. We'll be right back. Stay with us.
Subscribe to our YouTube channel to get your alerts and access to over 2,000 videos. Click that subscribe button right now. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and get the Fade to Black official podcast. 2,000 episodes, all of them commercial free for just $2 a month. Watch Into the Vortex on Gaia TV. It's Fade to Black for the screen. Simple to do. Go to Gaia.com, search Jimmy Church, or click on the link below. Follow Fade to Black on Twitter at JChurchRadio. Get all of the show updates every single day. It's now called X, but who cares? How you doing? Jimmy Church here. Special announcement. Get your Fade to Black t-shirts. That's right. Help support the show. Help support everything that we do over here. We've got 2 t-shirts. We've got 2 ways to get them. Get your Fade to Black t-shirt today. Go Backley Tappy. Go to jimmychurchradio.com and become a Fadernaut. Get a membership. That's right. Everything is commercial free. You have access to downloads, and you get to call yourself a Fadernaut.
Today we're headed to Bolivia, Tiwanaku, Peru, and of course, Pumapunku. Brian, exciting. Thank you so much for everything, my friend.
Always an honor. Right behind us is the sacred river of the Inca that goes past Machu Picchu. So we're going to be driving up to its source at 15,000 feet above sea level and then down to Lake Titicaca.
So today we hit 15,000 feet.
Yes.
Crazy. And you can do it with us. All you have to do is go to hiddenincatours.com. Simple. We've got 2 tours coming up next year, one in June for the summer solstice,
That's
right? And then another one right here in November. So hiddenincatours.com. Come and hang out with Brian and I and his amazing team.
Right on.
River Moon Coffee, makers of the Fade to Black blend. Truly the best coffee on planet Earth. Just visit rivermoonwellness.com or their Amazon store. It's all simple to do. You can check out the Fade to Black blend, the Game Changer blend, or any of their Black Moon Wellness products. It's the only coffee I drink. It is the best, and it's Doc. Again, rivermoonwellness.com.
All right. Welcome back. Fade to Black. I am your host, Jimmy Church. Tonight, Captain Ron Janix is with us. We're talking about Contact in the Desert 2025. And I want to spend the second half of the show tonight talking about Ron's take on disclosure. I do want to mention to everybody, I ended up spending a long time today in the dentist chair, and which rolled over into the afternoon, and I was completely numb. And it's now I'm fine, but I was thinking to myself, man, if this doesn't wind down, I'm gonna have Ron on the show tonight with flappy lips, and he is gonna go after me. I've got to. Thank goodness, it just all wore out. So that's what happened earlier today, everybody. Another day in the chair, and I'm right back there on Friday too as well. But things are looking good. Things are looking good. Ron, one of the things I wanted to mention really quick, and this is very cool, is that Thursday is free for everybody at Contact, isn't it?
Yes, that's another new thing we're doing. So anybody can go to any of the events. We've got 5 different lectures. We've got all kinds of things. And the big attendee party is Thursday night, and it's free to everyone, which is really, really awesome. You know, Jimmy, real quick, I wanted to mention when you were asking me the other interesting things, real fast, you know, we're having Chris Bledsoe do a night watch, which is going to be pretty amazing because, as you know, you've had Chris Bledsoe on many, many times. You know him well. He's a guy that these things come around to, so you never know what's going to happen. We added the podcasts and the movies, but we also added, we're going to do a comedy night, which we've never done before at Contact in the Desert. We're going to have a comedy night led by the last podcast on the left guys. So that's going to be a fun.
Oh, that's totally cool. You know, I have 2 comments about that. You're going in the right direction at Conscious Life Expo this year. And by the way, I'm just going to let everybody know that we have a small group of friends that we all hang out, and we put on these conferences together, and I'm hosting these conferences, and we are all friends, right? And that's an amazing. People think that there's some kind of soap opera drama going on.
Well, there has been, I think, some in the past a little bit, but it's certainly not with us. We you know, we're open to all of these things, Jimmy. We're pulling in the same direction. We want to work with MUFON. We want to work with Stairway to the Stars. All of these ideas are welcome at Contact in the Desert, and all of these things, we're all going in the same direction here. You know, let's get to disclosure. Let's get to find out what's going on, man. We're getting old. I want to know what's happening. And the only way we're going to do that is if we all share our ideas and move it forward.
Yeah. And there is no drama. We just hang out. We go to each other's events. It just so happens that I'm hosting these events with everybody, and we all break bread together and hang out.
And when I'm heckling, that's
You're
from
heckling,
love.
man.
It's
You're
from a
heckling.
place of love.
And so this year at Conscious Life, they had a comedian come in. And I was thinking to myself, I've got to introduce him and everything else. But I've always said, if we can't laugh at ourselves, right? And this guy, and he was amazing. And but anyway, he was so connected to our community, and the jokes were amazing, and the reception. And that was the thing. I didn't know if people were going to take it the right way, and they did. We had an amazing time. I think that comedy night for you is
you have it in the
way
right
to go.
spirit. We're not making fun of the topic or anybody that's had an experience. This is all, we're on the same team here, man. We are all welcoming, and we definitely are doing that. You know, when you brought up this dental thing, I swear to God, and you said exactly the right thing. The second you said you were numb like that, I was like, oh my God, I wish to God that would have happened. I would have torn him alive.
Man, it would have been brutal.
Can I share a 30-second story with you?
Sure.
30 years ago, I'm playing tennis with a couple of my closest friends, and we were playing tennis, and I got whacked in the face and chipped my front tooth. So we have to rush to the emergency room, and I'm in the dental chair, and I can't do anything. You know, I got the whole thing going on. And my buddies were right in there because this was like a Saturday afternoon. So I'm like in the emergency thing.
Right.
And they're in there talking, saying the most outrageous stuff about my life. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, he collects, you know, goldfish. He's got 200 of them. Just whatever outrageous thing they're saying. And tears are coming down the side of my face. And I can't defend myself because and it's just brilliant. And I thought, boy, that would have been a great opportunity. So
I felt it coming.
Recovered.
I felt it coming. And I was a little self-conscious about it. Like, do I do a disclose? You know, do I say, by the way, I'm completely numb, or do I just let Ron, you know, tear into me? And but thinking. And now the other thing I was going to say, and I haven't done this with Chris yet, a Skywatch, but I'm going to do it this weekend or next weekend. And so I'm going to be able to have the Chris Bledsoe experience. And
yeah, we're very excited about it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a really big deal. And I've talked to him about it so much over the years, but to go through it, so I'll report back to you. I'm doing
I'd love
it
to
next
hear what
weekend.
happened to him. He's got lots and lots of videos of things that he's seen, orbs on his property. You know, a lot of different people have a lot of different experiences that whole thing just sort of makes this whole mosaic, you know. Like I said, we have our lane and we shoot for certain things, but there is a whole mosaic of different paranormal phenomenon that are happening to people now. Like you said, personally, you've had these things that just maybe you keep to yourself. Other people have, and the place to share these stories is Contact in the Desert. And not only are these things going on now, they go back to thousands of years ago when people were talking to these beings they called the jinn. You know, this is something has been going on for an awfully long time, and I just want it to move forward so that we can actually learn what it is. I hope to God I don't die before I get some more of these answers.
I'm going to share another story before we move on. I'm watching a video. Chris sends it to me. Chris Bledsoe. He sends me a video, and I'm watching it on my phone. And it's pretty crazy, right? This orange orb comes down, and if like into the yard, it's up high, but it comes down, and somebody's talking in the video, and I watch it again, and I'm listening. I went, oh shit, it's Lori
Wagner. Yep.
Yeah. So I called her. I go, Lori, right? I mean, he sends it, Jimmy, you got to watch this. So I'm watching the video. I hear Lori's voice. She's a very close friend of Ron and I's, and she's been on the show before too, of course, and a great movie producer and everything else. She's amazing, but her voice is very distinct. And so I call her. I go, "Are you in this video?" She goes, "What are you looking at?" I said, "I was just sent." She goes, "We just shot that." I go, "What happened?" She goes, "Jimmy, I swear it's exactly what you see in this video. That thing comes down out of the sky and comes into his yard in front of us." And to hear Lori's voice in that. And so, yeah, I want that experience.
I do too. It's incredible. And you've had it at Contact. I haven't. I would love to. I've heard other people say we have seen things at Contact in the desert. Just coincidentally, it happens during that event.
Well, I'll share. You want a Contact story?
Yeah, please.
A Contact story. So this is at Joshua Tree at the retreat center. And it was George Norrie's birthday. And so we had a birthday party for George in the Dome. And, and I'm hosting this thing with George, birthday gifts and all of that. And it was a lot of fun, a lot of people there. And Saturday night. And then we were going to bring out a band, which we did, and we cleared out the tables for dancing. And so while the crew was in there moving the tables, I get a text on my phone. And it says, UFOs right now. Jimmy, you got to get out here to Orion's Lookout. And I'm reading the text, and I had a security guy there. You know him. It doesn't matter. And I said, do you know where this is? And he goes, yeah, man. Let's get in the golf cart, right? Okay, so we run out, jump in the golf cart, and people, Ron, are running. It's like War of the Worlds, Steven Spielberg, right? People running up the street and just running. And I was like, oh my God. And we're on the golf cart in this crowd of people. We get up to the top of the hill and people are screaming. I was like, what the? And so walk out, and there's a couple of hundred people at this edge of this. It's like a little cliff, a hill. It's Orion's Lookout. And I walk up and somebody goes, Jimmy, look. And there was a microphone there. There was a PA system. And they put the microphone in my face, right? Jimmy Church from Coast to Coast is here. Everybody's screaming. And I look, and it was awkward because they're catching my reaction with a microphone, because I'm like, holy what the I'm tripping. And off to my left, there's this green, and it was ginormous, Ron, a green ball. And I've called it a Christmas ornament, like a green chrome ball. And it's low, it's ground level, and it's going across the desert like this. It came out from behind this hill, and it's going across, and we're all looking at it, and people are shining lasers on it. And this thing then turns up. It took like 5 minutes. It goes from ground level, it turns and starts going up. And then eventually, like 5 minutes, we watch it go across the desert, then turn up, turns into a star and stops, and then shoots off. And I'm just, I couldn't believe what, and to have 200 people screaming like they're at a frigging Foghat concert in 1977.
Bree was standing right there by you and saw this. Bree saw this.
Bree was there. Okay.
She was 100% there. I remember that. And it's like, I got to tell you, I am open to the idea of, you often hear in these stories from people like Chris or even Dr. Greer that, people need to be in the right mindset or whatever for these events to occur. You get 2,000 people at Contact.
Hold on. Here it is right here. Look. Yes, Bree and I were there for that.
Oh, Jamie was there too. There you are.
Yeah.
Bree and Jamie both witnessed this at Contact in the desert.
And back to my point that I made earlier. I'll talk about this because there was
200
witnesses. And when I do tell this story, there's usually somebody around going, yeah, man.
Yep.
I was there, and it was, I'm telling you, you can ask Bree and Jamie. It was nuts. It was friggin' nuts. So let me tell you what happened the next day. This is the most interesting part. So the next day, which was Sunday, Lisa Lyons calls me from Coast. And she goes, Jimmy, you're sitting in for George this Friday for open lines. Who's your guest? And I said, me. And she goes, what? I said, I just had this sighting yesterday out here with a couple hundred people, and it was incredible. And she goes, what happened? I told her. And I said, so I want to share the story with the Coast audience, and then I'm going to take phone calls. She goes, done. And I did. And you know why? You know why, Ron? This community needs to have the support of somebody like me that's in this position to stand up for them. How many, let's just say, Coast is a big show. We're talking about millions of people a night. It's a main show. And now, if we reverse the roles on that, let's say we had like Anderson Cooper, right? Or somebody there that saw the same thing. Are they going on Fox or CNN the next day to talk about?
No way, no how.
No. And I thought to myself, and I explained this to Lisa, I said, this community needs, because they're going to go and share this and they're going to tell people this story. That's one thing. But if they are able to go and say, Jimmy Church was on Coast to Coast and he told the story, I was there, and I thought that was so important. And I will always stand up for the community in that regard. Now, I'll tell you what, though, it was friggin' nuts, man. It was crazy town.
Now,
I was brought to my knees. Ron, I went like this after, 5 minutes, right? And then it went to that pinprick and then it shot off. And it sat there still for like a minute. It was a star at that point. It had gone up. And then it took off. And I just went to my knees. I could not believe what we all saw. It was
in my
amazing.
view, I do feel that, look, if something like this is going to happen, where else better than 2,000 people who are in that headspace and in that, connection with whatever, Akashic record, consciousness, whatever. It seems more likely that this would happen in just such a situation. Danny says that he was listening that night when you were talking about it. Yeah. Yeah, it's great. We've had different things. David Grush, that story broke during Contact 2023. Just so happened that Ross went on the air live to break that story during Contact in the Desert. What a great, almost synchronicity. And it's just a nice thing.
So I get back. No, that year. Oh, that's right. Okay, that year I couldn't do Contact. I was filming in New York. Remember that?
You are a globetrotter.
No, I was. Well, we were bummed because we had it set up, and then and I couldn't. That was the only year I haven't done Contact.
Yeah,
and I was stuck in a contract from Contact. But anyway, so I'm in New York, and I'm getting these texts from Dolan. Dolan texted me from Contact. Holy crap! Right, and the of everybody doing and my comment was, this is the kind of stuff that happens while these conferences are going on, and everybody has something to talk about and to think about. And you're absolutely right. That went down at Contact. You know what happened 2 years ago at Conscious Life Expo? The friggin' Chinese balloon shoot.
Oh, is that right?
That happened that weekend.
Yeah.
So I'm doing the Jimmy Church luncheon, right? Okay, so we got, a couple hundred people in there. And Caroline Corey, I'll never forget that. I got the microphone, walking around doing my thing. So where'd you come from? Where'd you fly in from? What's your name? I'm walking around to the tables, having fun. Caroline Corey stands up in the middle of the luncheon with her cell phone. Jesus Christ, we just fired missiles at a balloon, right? I was like, what?
What's happening?
And so the next day, It was the next day. I was introducing George Nori, and Caroline Corey stands up, and she was there. Linda was there, and the room is packed. Caroline Corey stands up. It's like, we just shot down another. I was like, what is going? So it gave so much life, right, to the conference. And
it's so much more fun having those things happen with like-minded people around you. You know, it just makes it even that much more intense.
Yeah. One of the things about contact, it seems like every year that I've been there, and I've been to all but one, something extraordinary happened. You know, whether it was a UFO sighting or there was a big revelation or
news story
something
break,
was
or Tracy Dolan met Richard Dolan, for example. Things just happen at this event. I'll tell you what, you know. That year, Bree was throwing, you know, she juggles with fire. So she was doing that and almost burned the whole thing down. There's a lot of interesting things that happen at contact in the desert. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, I'm getting, I was there, what year? That's right. Yeah, see, and that's the other thing that I really enjoy about this community is that we get to experience these things together so many times. And because the people that go to contact, that hang out with you and I, are there for deeply, deeply personal reasons, and a lot of reasons that they don't talk about or discuss with their family or whatever, but they can go to these conferences and let it all hang out.
And they're fully open. It's amazing how
Fully
people
open.
just gush, and I love that. And I love hearing all these personal stories. I really do. Even if they're obscure, I personally have an interest in each one of those, you know, because maybe it is real and it might fill each one of these. I always say the phrase, another brick in the wall. Each of these things adds another little brick into the wall of the picture of what's happening. You know what I'm saying?
I do.
I think all these things are interrelated. It just feels too close. The afterlife, ghosts, spirits, aliens, all of these things, there's definitely connective tissue between them.
Now, I want to talk about you for a second. I've done a lot of interviews.
I'm going to go ahead and mute you. Oh, no, I can't.
Yeah. Where I am the guest. So I get to experience somebody else's style, right? And how they ask questions. And I enjoy that, being on the other side of the fence. And but with you, I was always comfortable and very impressed with your style. Very conversational, but it comes from a point of intelligence on the subject. Were you always that comfortable? Did you fumble?
I feel way more comfortable now. Just this new show, Beyond Contact. Do I truly feel comfortable in this? I'm somebody that this is how it is for me. I feel like personally, I need to be very well researched of that person. I'm very comfortable if I've read their book or I know what they're going to talk about and whatever. So that's where I feel really good, because I will call them on that. I'm like, well, that's not what you said in chapter 4. I'd like to really know their material. I don't like to come in cold. Like this is casual. You and I are just talking about these things. That's one thing. But you know, with a speaker who's a researcher and they've researched something, I want to know what they're going to talk about, because I want to know what to ask them about that. So that's sort of my approach to it. You know,
Yeah, the first time you interviewed me, you were, and I want you to take this the wrong way. You were very excited, and
it was like, Jimmy Church, man.
Yeah. And
I'm
then,
still excited.
But then when it came to, you know, the on-air light and we're actually doing the interview, you were just in the zone. Yeah, very impressed, man.
I feel
very
like
impressed.
It was probably very amateurish back then, because you and I did these back. I literally think I did an interview with you in like 2012 or something. Honestly,
Yeah.
2012, when I kind of started doing these things with Tony.
Yes.
You know Tony. Tony's great. And that's kind of when I started doing this. And it was just doing these interviews was great because I gained a lot of knowledge just talking to these people. You know, that's how you pick up a lot of these things, getting to talk to all these different people, and they have different takes on things. And I think that's an interesting.
How have you changed? How has your view on disclosure changed? Let's go back. Your frame of mind 10, 12 years ago. Let's go back to like 2015, 2012, 2013 in there versus today. How has your take on disclosure changed?
I consider myself very much middle of the road, as I continually say. I kind of beat that drum to death. But I have definitely moved in a stronger belief that something is happening, that something alien or supernatural or paranormal is happening. I have definitely moved in that direction. There's just too much evidence, too many witnesses, too many credible things, too many respected speakers like Avi Loeb and John Mack and these others that we've mentioned that are credible guys that are saying there's something to this. Why would I not take them at their word? So I definitely have moved in that direction much more than I used to be.
And whistleblowers.
Well, disclosure or whistleblowers?
Well, that's part of it, though, right? And so there's always been a term whistleblower loosely tied to different people that have come forward over the years. A whistleblower in a technical sense, if we get into the legal side of it, is somebody that is bringing up and revealing illegal activity, usually by a corporate entity, and is protected by whistleblower statutes, employment and personal attacks and everything else. So that's a whistleblower in a technical sense. But now we've got a pop culture version of it that has evolved out of that when it comes to disclosure. We've got a new whistleblower that's coming forward. Well, is that a whistleblower? So when you hear the term whistleblower, what do you think of first now?
Yeah, yeah. Obviously, it's not truly being used in the proper technical sense of the word, as you just stated, because that is typically somebody's exposing an illegal activity that this corporation is doing. They're putting lead into the water or what have you. This is different. These are people coming forward. I immediately think that, you know, they're going to tell us what they know because they must be on the inside and they know about aliens or ships or whatever. This whole disclosure thing for me, Jimmy, I feel like most likely that this is housed, as Dr. Greer says, in an unacknowledged black budget, black project. This is not something that general military people know. This is going to be something I would think that is very well protected. As you know, from the dawn of man 200,000 years ago, whoever had the most technology wins the war. So if you had a technology that was from somebody that could get from somewhere else to here, wherever that other place is, interdimensional, from Earth, whatever it is, that's a more advanced technology than most people have. So I feel like that is going to be really protected. And God bless Steve and Danny and all these guys who are moving this ball down the field. I don't know if we're going to be able to pierce that, because even if they say, show us all your records or whatever, you know, that's going to be official government documents. It's not going to be with the people, the secret keepers, if there is such a thing, that have this knowledge. They're not going to have to give that up because you're not getting to them. What do you think?
Well, yes. I mean, I have to agree with all of that, but there's a caveat to it. And piercing the veil may be easier if the government doesn't have to be a part of it. When the government is part of it, or the military industrial complex or the Department of Defense, if you are on the offensive going at them, that's hard. You may not ever be able to pierce that. But if there's another catalyst, a progenitor on the outside, some existential thing that is outside of the
Yes.
Department of Defense, such as what happened earlier this week, which I think that the government is wanting this and waiting for this. The James Webb Space Telescope
Yep.
is detecting
Life.
particles that are only created by life in our oceans. Okay, that's it. We have it here on Earth exclusively from life in our oceans. They have found an ocean world. Okay, 120 light years away. K12b is the planet that is 4 times the size of Earth. That is a water world, an ocean planet. And now to have, Ron, today the ability to look into the atmosphere of a planet that's that far away with, technology is crazy to me. But to detect life like that and then possibly move on to a confirmation, the government wants that. That's how you pierce the veil. And that
I think something like that. I can agree with that.
Yeah.
I guess I'm
That's
speaking
the
to,
out. Well, but that's the out that the government would want. They don't
right,
have
because
to
then they
admit
can
anything.
right.
Right.
I agree with that. I'm saying something like the Schumer UAP bill, which I'm all for, and I want nothing more than that to pass. I'm saying that call to action for people to submit their information because of that bill, I don't know that we're going to get everything we really want because that stuff's too buried that it's not going to get to them. That's what I'm referring to.
No, you're right. And so, and my suggestion is, like I said, this is like an existential catalyst that's on the outside, something that you don't expect and not necessarily even see coming. It's not a file folder. It's not a USB with videos on it. It's more intangible than that. But that would be a way to start getting into that veil and starting piercing it, and supports what these potential whistleblowers would be.
A techno signature of life or any of those things would be great. As Avi was telling me a few weeks ago, he said that he's literally looking for trash. I want to find debris, something that they left behind that they didn't need or want. That's going to be, to us, treasure. It's exciting.
Do you remember? Excuse me. Phobos. Okay, Phobos is a moon of Mars, and it's got what appears to be, it's been photographed, you can look at it, a monolith on it. All right, now I'm going to pull it up. I'm just going to pull up let's see, Phobos.
Right out of 2001. I love it.
Yeah. Okay, so here we go, and let me pull up an image of it here. Let's see which one. Oh yeah, Wikipedia. Wikipedia is good because that's a downloadable image. Okay, all right, boom. Okay, done. Now, as I pull this up, let's go here. Buzz Aldrin, not Buzz Aldrin. Buzz Aldrin wore these T-shirts that would say
The Beyond
Phobos
Contact T-shirt or the Contact in the Desert shirt?
No, Phobos, right?
Oh,
What's on
Phobos.
Yeah. And so here it is. Right?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And now that is something very similar to what Avi would like to find.
Yes.
Right? Something left behind from a civilization.
Exactly.
Whether it's debris in space or something on another planet, on the moon, and on this case, on Phobos, which is a moon of Mars. This has always been very intriguing. And then you have
I'm guessing it's bigger than I think too, right? It's probably
it's big.
Yeah.
The Russians sent 2 probes to Mars. Okay, and you can you want to go down a rabbit hole?
I do.
Go down the rabbit hole of the Russians doing a flyby with the satellite by Phobos, and the flying saucer comes in and knocks the satellite out of commission.
Come on.
But a series of photographs were taken of the said flying saucer and made the rounds. And it's I've seen the real photograph. Most of them have been scrubbed from the internet, but they made the rounds initially when the incident happened. And it's a pretty convincing photograph, man.
That's exciting as hell, man. You know what's really exciting too, Jimmy, is that right now, like in the next 12 months, we're having a lot of technology come online. That ELT, the extra large telescope in Chile, and the other one, these are going to open up a whole set of tools for us. I think we're going to see a lot more images like that. We're going to see a lot more debris. The Oumuamua phenomenon is going to be way more frequent, I think, as we have better tools to see these things. So, like, you're right. It may be coming from that angle that we reveal extraterrestrial life through this technology and through these.
The government wants that to happen. It takes the pressure off, man.
Then it's like, oh yeah, right.
Yeah, of
course. And those among
us
us who have had direct contact or experiences, they already have their disclosure, so they don't need it anyway. You know, it could come from them as well. You know, I think it's remarkable how many people have had experiences, and I think the average person doesn't realize how prolific that occurrence is.
When I cover this subject a lot with my producer Renee, who does the news for me. She's absolutely incredible, and so she is constantly on all of the current developments of NASA and the European Space Agency (ESA) and what they are doing and the current projects and what's being launched. Right, we're launching stuff nearly every single day. Most of, I'm going to say pretty definitively, that 90% of research satellites that are being launched right now are searching for alien life.
Wow.
That's the mission goal. You know, and so yeah. And not only with telescopes and being able to look into deep space, but also in different frequencies and ranges of the spectrum. There's that part of it, but the computer technology that is available to us now too, before, you know, and I realize this sounds so fundamental, but just, you know, 20 years ago, we would have to look at a star, an astronomer, through a telescope, and then putting a spectrometer on it, and trying to analyze it one star at a time. Now we scan the entire night sky, and we are scanning every single star all at the same time and looking at the changes and everything else. And so we have satellites positioned all around the Earth where we are scanning not only our galaxy, but the universe and everything. So, and we're doing things in sections, millions of stars at a time.
Right. What changed from last night to tonight? Yeah.
Exactly what is going on.
Right.
And so much of this, but what do they look? They're looking for life.
I think if you ask the average person on the street outside of this community, of course, and if you told them that 90% of the satellites are to look for alien life, they would say that would blow their mind. They would not think that's the correct answer.
This monolith, man, is
that's pretty cool.
Is crazy. I'm looking at some other images here on Wikipedia. You can go and check it out. Yeah, it appears on. Let's see. I want to see if they mentioned. Oh yeah, former astronaut Buzz Aldrin has spoken about the Phobos monolith and supports a mission to Phobos. I'm just seeing if there's a comment about Russia here.
Yeah, why don't we send a probe right to that spot? I guarantee
that's the big question, Ron. Yeah. It's a big question. Okay. All right. So there's Phobos. Why haven't we? Well,
or the face. Let's go right to the face.
Let's go right to the face. And now, if I hear one more time, I swear I'm gonna shoot myself. hear one more time. Well, there might be water ice, what? Why fly there? What do you mean? What do you mean? Go.
Right. We have the technology. Let's build it. Yeah, exactly.
The question of water ice on Mars, the moon, right? Why haven't we, right, made
That
snowballs
feels
yet?
well within our technological prowess now, considering what we
You would
can do.
think.
That doesn't even seem that tough. So if we're going to go out there towards Mars again, why not just stop right there at that moon, go right to that spot? And that might tell us a lot. Or, somebody in this community might say they already know what that is.
Now,
'cause they've got it.
so we're going to have all these hearings coming up too as well that are also timed right around contact in the
How
desert.
great. 2 weeks before contact, we're going to have more
Yeah.
congressional hearings. It's going to be fantastic on the UAP. Now, of course, a lot of this will be, they can't say it in a public forum, which is frustrating for many of us, but I still think that's moving the football down the field because the whole world sees that. My mom knows that now, that that's happening. So I think that's still a really important thing. And now they're finally going in the skiffs. Do you know David Grush has not yet gone in a skiff?
That's correct.
I thought when that happened, my God, within 2 weeks
That
they had
day,
him in there.
you would think that afternoon.
Of
They would've
course.
gone straight
So
in
now
there.
it took 2 years, but they're finally getting him into a skiff. Now, when these people start learning more things, they may push more. This whole thing could snowball in the right direction for us, and that's exciting to me.
Now, do you think that that's a part of disclosure, or do you think that it's more about elected officials being caught off guard, the ones that are cutting checks, and they're cutting checks for something that they didn't know anything about, and when they go to ask questions about this, they are getting shut down, so now they have a frustration,
I
the
think
same
it's the latter
frustration that we've
until they
had
get
for
into the
years.
skiff and then they learn about it. Then it becomes the former, because I think once they start learning about it, then it's going to become all about disclosure. I think one of the reasons that disclosure hasn't happened is if this small group holds this knowledge. I was just saying this to Danny the other day. It's possible. There's a lot of different schools of thoughts about what's happening with ET right now. You know that there's so many different ideas of what could be happening. What if it's one of the more extreme ideas? What if it's something like our souls are the aliens and they put on suits to come here? Something really kind of abstract. I think regular folks could grasp the nuts and bolts idea of someone getting in a advanced vehicle and flying it here. That's pretty palatable to today's society, I would think. But what if it's one of these other ideas that's much more harder to get your brain
Scare the
about?
crap out of everybody.
Yeah,
Scare.
maybe they're keeping this quiet because they know it's something more profound like this. Like maybe it really is all one consciousness, and
Because
maybe
that's a
it
life
is
changing. Because you have to change your worldview.
so
That
much
would change.
further.
Yeah, that changes everything. Look, I
I'm
think the
open to that.
world could handle ET in any
Yes.
form a lot easier than they could handle like Atlantis. That would freak if
Now,
if
why would you
we
say that? I don't agree with that. I think
because
Atlantis
no,
is
because
palatable.
we have been taught over and over and over again, repeatedly, that humans advanced after the last ice age. Before the ice age, nothing to see here. Okay? That's it. And that Homo sapien sapien at most is 200,000 years old.
Right.
And Stone Age man made our progress in the last 400 years. We've had science the last 100 years, but there was nothing before the ice age. All right? And then the reveal comes where we find a frozen city in Antarctica, or some crazy thing is revealed that there was us 1 million years ago and we died off and then reignited the human race in another form, and that some of them may be running around, and they're the ones that taught us how to math and roads and laws and music and writing 3,000 years ago, and developed speech. And that, I don't think people could handle that. I think that would, man, because that flies in the face of everything, including the Earth being 6,000 years old by, what, half of the people on this planet believe that.
Just look in the last 20 years how all of these numbers have changed. You just said 200,000 years. 30 years ago, we didn't even think that. It was half that, I think, or less. So these numbers are always changing.
Yeah.
I just read the other day on one of these science journals that, we say 13.7, 13.9 is the life of the age of the universe. There's a new thing out that they think it could be as much as 25 billion years, not 13.9. They think it could be almost double. I mean, this happens throughout our history, that as we get more knowledge, we're off by miles and millions and billions of years. So, that's why I don't like to lock into these ideas, because inevitably we will get more knowledge.
Yeah, because you raise, it's a non-trivial point. All right. The Big Bang has been the foundation and the fundamental discussion and theory in all of science for a number of decades. Okay. You can't shake that.
And I can't get my head around it now. Can you?
Right. 13.8 billion years. Before that, there was nothing. That's when time started. Now, I think all of us kind of think about that and have thought about that and went, that doesn't seem quite right. But that's what science told us. And now the foundation has been shaken, that maybe the Big Bang didn't happen. It's like, wait a minute. You guys steadfastly told us one thing, and that was it. 13.8 billion. And now that's changing. It just goes to show you that we don't know anything.
We don't know anything. And this continuously happens. I always quote these, 100 years ago, Jimmy, not 1,000 years ago, we thought the entirety of the universe was our galaxy. That was the belief. And then we got the telescope right out here, Mount Wilson, and Hubble saw that there was another galaxy. And then all of a sudden there were two.
And that was 19. People don't realize that was one lifetime ago. That was 1922.
23, yeah.
And when he made that discovery, and for everybody out there, Mount Wilson is in our backyard. It's just right here. It's a mountain that we all look at every single day. And so he's up there with his telescope, and actually he saw it, but it was his research assistant that was looking at the negatives and was mapping everything out. Going, man, this stuff is moving.
Yeah.
There's something else to this. And they were calling it gas nebulae. That's what they thought they were gas clouds that were out there. They didn't realize they were looking at other galaxies. And we could see 2 from here. You can see 7 from the southern hemisphere. From Australia, you can look up and see, 5 or 6 pink smudges in the night sky. It's really cool. We don't see it from on this side of the planet. Anyway, and then they looked closer and found out that those were other galaxies. It took 8 years for people to accept Edwin Hubble's papers. They wouldn't publish it until 1929.
Isn't this just insane? And look at how much they were off, though. You just said that's one human lifetime. During that human lifetime, the belief was there was one galaxy. Now it's 2 trillion galaxies. So that's how much beyond. They were off.
Yeah, 2 trillion and beyond.
And do you know that and here's the other one that blows my mind that I like to bring up. 1992, the scientific community knew that there were no planets around any other stars, that the only planets were in our galaxy. That was 30 years. Right. Now it's 1.6. So for every star you see, it's 1.6 planets. So if there's
At
200
least.
billion stars in our galaxy, there's 300 billion or more planets.
Now
So
I'm gonna correct you, because even those numbers have been modified.
oh, there you go.
And
It's been an
so
hour. Yeah, I mean that's what happens.
I had a very animated conversation with Avi Loeb about this, and he's sitting right next to me, and we're talking about exactly this subject, right? The same thing. Edwin Hubble, our galaxy.
He knows a bit more about it than me, so I'll just be quiet.
He knows a bit more. I got slapped by Avi. It was pretty funny, and I'm not going to argue with him. But anyway, this is what he said, because I was throwing the same numbers around. He goes, "No, Jimmy, it's 1 trillion stars in our
in this galaxy."
And he said we have 8 planets, maybe 9, in our star system. So there is the potential of having maybe
9 trillion.
9 trillion planets in our galaxy. And he said that a trillion's a big number, right? And you're throwing this, that's 1,000 billion. Okay. That's a big number. And he goes, so if you take a small percentage, this is Avi, if you take a small percentage of that and make those rocky Earth-like planets in the Goldilocks zone with water,
yeah,
because you're talking about 40, 50 billion Earth-like planets and in the Goldilocks zone. Now, just stop and think about when you have a trillion as the number, which is 1,000 billions. 1,000
it's incomprehensible.
Billion. Yeah. Right. And you take just a small percentage of that, and so, yeah, I get where Avi's coming from. And you're right. It is a non-trivial point. It's like the biggest point. Every star that you look at, every single one has got a planet. And 30 years ago, there was 0.
Isn't that something? Yeah.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So how many of those have found Earth? Well, what are we doing here, Ron?
Exploring.
We're looking.
Yeah,
we're looking, right? And we just found this planet with our own trailer park planet, right? Our hillbilly planet that we have the ability now to detect inside of an atmosphere or something. Well, it's something more advanced than us out there. How many of them have found this planet? Well,
it's just you start doing the math. The math alone, to me, proves something's going on. Real quick, you were saying that humanity's 200,000 years ago, human Homo sapien. Right. So in 200,000 years, our belief as a species was that there were no planets out there. It has only been 30 years that we realize there's planets out there. So, of course, our whole psyche should change on whether or not there's life out there, because we just learned in the last 30 years out of 200,000 that, wait a minute, there's 1 trillion planets in this little galaxy. So of course, our whole mindset, I think that's going to take years for us just to digest that idea. People growing up knowing that there's planets around everything are going to be much more open to this idea.
It's a different
situation. There must be other life out there, because 30 years ago, no, there's not any other planets, so why would there be other life? So you can imagine how this is going to move in that direction, right?
If you look at, and we're at the end of the show, I'll share this with everybody and share it with you. We've all seen the movie Contact, all right? And the movie's fantastic. Jodie Foster and everything. Okay, yes. The best part of Contact is the first 2 minutes of the movie, and people forget about it. The first 2 minutes of the movie is a pullback from planet Earth, right? They show planet Earth, they show Ellie, right? And they come off of her house and they pull back, and there's Earth. Earth moves away. They pull out of our star system. You see Jupiter go by. You see the sun disappearing. Earth disappears. They pull out of our star system, keep going. Earth now is just a little pale blue dot, right? And it's and they keep pulling back, pull back out of our galaxy. The Milky Way shrinks now, right? You can't see. And Earth, they keep pulling back, and the Milky Way disappears into a star, and they keep pulling back, and the galaxies are going by, and it just, and then you start to, that 2 minutes paints the picture of, right, because our galaxy is 1 trillion stars, but from back here, it's just a pinprick of light, like it is in the rest of the universe, that are these galaxies full of trillions of stars and planets and life, and we're just a little speck of, so how much life is out there?
See,
How
us
much?
just talking about it right here is exciting to me. I mean, isn't it just, you can't help but, how do humans not just, contemplate this continuously? I mean, that's why I love this stuff.
Ron, thank you so much. Thank you for your work in this community, man, and Contact in the Desert this year. I will be there Friday and Saturday, and just hanging out with everybody. I'll be hosting. Everybody, come and check out the documentary, and that'll be Friday. I'll be there for that. And then Friday night, I'm going to host the meet and greet party in the Crystal Ballroom. So everybody that's listening right now, come up and say hello, meet Ron. Ron's going to be with me through all of that, and come and hang out with the family. It's going to be an amazing weekend. George Norrie's there, of course, Josh Gage. We just talked about Ross Coulthart and Bryce Abel, and you got the George and George special. You've got a film festival going on. Got a couple of amazing panels that are happening. So yeah, everybody just come out. Linda's going to be there. Richard's going to be there. And I'll
more than anything, it's fun. That's the bottom line, man. How much fun do we have at this thing, right?
Just come out and hang out with the family, man.
That's it.
I'll see everybody there. Ron, I'll talk to you later on this week. Thank you again for all of your efforts in this community. And Jamie and Bree lighting it up tonight in the chat. Thank you so much. And one last thing, it is free on Thursday too as well. I'll see everybody out there. Contact Ron. Be safe. I'll see you in a couple of weeks.
Thank you, brother. Take care, man.
The very best. Captain Ron Janix, everybody. And just a great show tonight. Great conversation. And I love it when I can just sit and talk with a friend, and all of you can just hang out with us and share in the conversation. Great show tonight. I want to remind everybody that tomorrow Jason Martell is here. Ancient Aliens, of course, and he's just off of Ancient Aliens live tour. And tomorrow night we will continue this conversation about UFOs and contact and technology and everything else that is moving our community. So with that, I will say, I'll see everybody tomorrow night. For now, all I've got is Go Back Lee Tappy. Fade to Black is produced by Hilton J. Palm, Renee Newman, and Michelle Freed. Special thanks to Bill, John, Dex, Jessica, Dennis, and Kevin. Webmaster is Drew the Geek. Music by Doug Aldrich. Intro, Space Boy. Fade to Black is produced by KJCR for the Game Changer Network. This broadcast is owned and copyrighted 2024 by Fade to Black and the Game Changer Network, Inc. It cannot be rebroadcast, downloaded, copied, or used anywhere in the known universe without written permission from Fade to Black or the Game Changer Network. I'm your host, Jimmy Church. Go Back Lee Tappy.